May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And if you're a Catholic out there and you've ever had this thought, if I just prayed more, I wouldn't be feeling this way, this episode is going to be for you. Welcome back to the What's the Dill podcast. I'm your host, Pete Dill. Today we are talking about mental health and being a Catholic. We've talked about it before on the podcast, and I think it's really, really relevant. A lot of people are wanting to know more and share about mental health in their life, particularly when it comes to our faith. And I think for us Catholics, we sometimes try to skirt around mental health because we think it maybe cheapens our prayer life when we talk about mental health. But today, we're just going to talk about why taking care of our mental health is important, why anxiety is real and it doesn't diminish our faith, and why in our weakness, God is there for us. And in fact, it's a foundation for us to receive God's grace. So let's break away from some of these myths, which is if I just prayed more, I wouldn't be feeling this way. If I had greater faith, I wouldn't feel this way. If I could just be stronger, then maybe I wouldn't have anxiety, maybe I wouldn't have depression. And let's be real. Anxiety, depression, mental health problems, they affect people in the pews, they affect faithful Catholics, they affect all of us in some way or another. So I just wanted to chat a little bit today about how we experience mental health, like through our faith, but how seeking help for mental health or struggling with mental health is not a is not a reflection of your faith life. Like faithful Catholics, faithful saints have struggled deeply with mental health issues, have had anxiety, have been depressed. So if you're out there and you've struggled or you are currently struggling with mental health, that's not a reflection of your faith. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. We're also going to introduce our boy, Father Jacques Philippe. We're going to talk about a couple pages and about how we have to love ourselves, we have to accept ourselves, and how the problem sometimes of not accepting ourselves is oftentimes like lashing out at others, or we can't love and accept others when we don't love and accept ourselves. All right, so let's jump into the problem I think a lot of us Catholics run into, which is I need to pray more and pray away my pain. Like the reason why I'm feeling this way is that I'm not praying good enough, or I'm not praying enough. The reason why I'm feeling traumatized by this relationship, or the reason why I'm remembering things in my past, or the reason why I'm feeling anxious about my day-to-day life and how I'm handling my day-to-day life and the stress in my day-to-day life is because I'm not praying enough, or I need to pray this stuff away. Have you ever been there before? You're trying to pray away anxiety, you're trying to pray away pain, you're trying to ask God, why, God, why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? Why? I think we've all been there, and it can be really, really painful. It can be really, really hard to struggle mentally with the things in our life. It can be hard to walk around the world and having this battle on your inside. You know, it's like you're walking at life, work, the store, jobs, friends, family, wherever, and you have this battle going on inside your head. I think it's important to recognize that God's not asking us to be perfect. Being anxious doesn't mean that you don't trust God. Having depression doesn't mean that you don't trust God. It can be an opportunity for us to trust God more, to build a relationship with Jesus more, to lean on the tools that he gave humans, like therapists and counselors, to lean on these people that God endowed with gifts to receive healing. He's asking us to trust him to work through these issues, work through these problems, and to trust that there's humans that he's gave talents to that can help bring us to greater healing. And we've all experienced this. Like, we just have to get that out there. We're all experiencing some level of anxiety and depression. When you think about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. He was like sweating blood, literally sweating blood. He was so filled with anguish. As we kind of take the steps to heal, take the steps to acknowledge in ourselves that we're struggling with these things, or we have these things in our life, whether a lot or a little, we can place them to Jesus. We can give them to Jesus because he understands those feelings. So Jesus is not expecting us to be perfect. He understands what it's like to go through anguish, to go through pain, physical and emotional and mental pain. So we can trust him that he can bring us through really any situation in our life, not just by healing us of this pain, but by providing us with the tools, like by other people's help by counseling, therapy, prayer. These things are going to be God's put them in place for us to receive healing and to become better versions of ourselves. And why is mental health important? Well, mental health not only affects us, but it affects other people around us. Because sometimes we lash out when we're dealing with internal pain. We lash out at other people. And this is where I want to bring in Father Jacques Philippe. He has this great line where he says, we lash out at others because we have yet to come at peace with who we are. I mean, that's just truth right there. When we're not feeling good about ourselves, we often find faults in others. When we're not feeling good about ourselves, we tear other people down. And this is part of our brokenness as humans. Where Father Jacques Philippe is such a brilliant mind is that he challenges us to look at ourselves, to look at the internal, and be that change. Be the change we want to be in the world. I think that's Gandhi or Vin Diesel. I don't know. But he challenges us to look at ourselves and to find peace within ourselves first before trying to change other people. Father Jacques Philippe challenges us to love other people and love ourselves. And he kind of puts a mirror up to the way we treat others as a way that we treat ourselves. And when we lash out at others, when we're angry at others, if we held a mirror up to that, we're probably doing that to ourselves. We're probably lashing out to ourselves. We're being angry at ourselves. We're oftentimes our harshest critic. So where I think this is a great opportunity to grow using interior freedom is, hey, if you're struggling with mental health and you're looking at everybody else as, the enemy, or you see other people irritating you, the chances are you're probably being harsh to yourself too. And we can't love ourselves. We can't be healed if we don't love ourselves first. We can't be better with our mental health if we don't love ourselves first, accept ourselves first. And so I think that's why it's so important, why interior freedom is so important here, is because if we're trying to seek healing in our lives, if we're trying to overcome mental health problems, if we're trying to get through anxiety and depression in our lives, we have to start with loving ourselves, accepting ourselves, and not being so harsh on ourselves. Father Jacques Philippe offers us the freedom to accept ourselves as we are. A little bit broken, a little bit in our poverty, a little bit not right. And that's okay, because that's when we can start to let Jesus into our hearts. We can start opening our eyes to what Jesus has for us, what solutions he has, who he wants us to talk to. But if we just hold it all in so tight and we don't accept that we have any of these issues, we're never really going to be on the step to real true interior freedom or true healing. So what does that really mean? That means that if you need counseling, go get counseling. If you need therapy, go get therapy. If you need couples therapy, go get couples therapy. If you need marriage therapy and counseling, go get marriage and therapy or counseling. These people were trained and were given gifts by God to help others. Acknowledging your need for help is not a sign of weakness. It's definitely a sign of spiritual maturity. And, like St. Paul says in one of his letters, that it says, it's through my weakness I am made strong. He says, in my weakness I'm made strong. God makes us strong through our weakness. So, this is a good month, a good checkpoint in our lives to, take a moment to think about our mental health, recognize that maybe we need help, to look at ourselves and say, hey, maybe I actually do need help. Maybe I should actually make a call. Maybe I should talk to someone about this. Get the help you need. And if you don't need therapy, you don't need counseling, but you just need someone to talk to, that's okay too, Talk to a friend. I think it's about sharing our lives, not being scared of seeing as weak if I admit that something even hurts me a little bit. So talking about what you're going through is not a sign of weakness. So whether it's in your share group, your men's or women's group, a counselor, a therapist, a friend, a spiritual director, these people are here to help you and I. And we have to use these things that are instituted in our life to help us. And it's okay to seek help, and it's okay to express mental health problems to these people. So I think for us, we can accept ourselves who we are, and we can invite Jesus in to our problems. We can invite Jesus in to these anxious and depressive thoughts and problems that we have. Even in our deepest anxiety and our deepest fears of what has happened or what's going to happen in our lives, we can invite Jesus into that. In fact, he wants to be invited into that. He wants to heal us of that. I guarantee you, whatever is happening in your life, Jesus wants to be invited into it. And he wants to show you that he's God in it. And he wants to heal you in there. So sometimes I think when we have anxiety, depression, we feel like it's our own solo battle. Like nothing can help us. No one can help us. It's just me and I have to figure this out. But the great thing about God is that anxiety doesn't scare him. These fears don't scare him. He can offer us comfort in these times of fire. He can actually be there with us and for us. So even though it can feel like a crazy struggle, like you're the only person out there, we can start by accepting us, that we're broken. We don't have to be perfect, and we can invite Jesus in to heal us little by little by little. Those are my thoughts on there. And I wanted to share that with you all because I know that, mental health is a very real issue that a lot of us have. And I think it's always important to recognize that having mental health struggles is not a bad thing. It's okay. And it's worth talking about because I think it's one of those things that could hold us back from really entering into relationship with God more, because we feel like we're broken. We feel like we're not right in the head. So how can we ever really live this Catholic life out? How can we ever be a Christian when we're just so broken? But really, it's right where God wants us to start healing us. It's right where God wants us to pour his graces onto us. And when we can accept ourselves and love ourselves and be open to God's graces, we can start to experience some interior freedom. And so that's why I thought it was worth talking about. I want to share with y'all. Let me know what you guys think, your thoughts, fears, struggles, experiences with mental health. I'd love to hear that. I'd love for you to share in the comments, a DM, a message. I always love hearing from you guys. So thank you again for watching, for listening. Appreciate you all so much. I hope you all have a great week. Talk to you soon. Peace. Bye.